We didn't just decide like, oh, you can make money selling looms.
Right.
We are actually, it came from a real place. It came from someone who was a weaver who wanted a product and came up with that product. And for that reason, I think we can support our customers in a way that companies who don't can't. And I think that's probably been a big factor in our growth and in our loyalty.
Hello, I'm Tamara Honaman, a maker, digital content creator, someone who works in many different mediums with a true passion for helping others find their creative spark. I also really love to connect others who have something to share with those who want to learn. Welcome to Heart and Hands of a Maker, the creative journey. If you found us, chances are you're on a quest for creative inspiration. Maybe you're feeling stuck in an artistic rut, dreaming of turning your passion into a flourishing business, or maybe you're hoping to see your work in print or grow your online presence. Well, my friend, wherever you are on your creative journey, you're in the right place. Today, we're talking with Elena Kawachi and Claudia Chase of Mirrix Looms. Claudia, inventor of the Mirrix Loom and president and founder of Mirrix Looms, has been weaving since 1984. This year, she is celebrating 28 years in business. Amazing. Elena, Claudia's daughter, joined Mirrix in 2009 and has been supporting the business from the marketing side and then some ever since. We'll be discussing Claudia's journey, Mirrix Looms' genesis and evolution, along with Elena's experience as the daughter of the amazing Claudia and a talented woman and mom in her own right. It's time to grab your favorite beverage, settle into your creative space, and meet the ladies behind Mirrix. Elena, Claudia, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us on. We're so excited.
Yeah, we're really happy to be here.
Oh, I couldn't be more excited to be with you in person, kind of, virtually, and to have this time together. I have been a customer of Mirrix for a very long time. I am not a weaver by trade or by definition of what I do. It is a part of all of the things that I do, but I love your looms and I love the story behind your business. So I'm really hoping that you ladies can kind of give a little bit of overview of how things started, where you're going, the mission of the company, and take it from there. So please.
I'll let you begin, because you're really good at it.
You're going to let me begin? Okay.
Yep.
The year was 1996. 1996? So I am Claudia's daughter, as you mentioned. I was just a kid when she started this company. She had been a stay-at-home mom, but also a tapestry weaver for my whole life. So, our living room was literally filled with floor looms. And I just thought that was a normal thing. After her kids went to bed, she would weave. She would, weave on weekends. That was just sort of what she did. She was selling her work. And eventually, as my brother and I got more into soccer and gymnastics and had all these things, she really wanted a nice portable loom that she could weave on, but that was also professional quality. And she couldn't find exactly what she wanted. So she had a friend who was actually the father of my best friend at the time. We were living in Wisconsin. And she went to him, and he worked at a place building fire trucks. And so in his farm, he had all these like fire truck making supplies and, all sorts of other stuff and plumbing parts and stuff. And together they put together this loom, this exactly what she wanted loom, kind of using old fire truck parts and plumbing parts and this and that. And she had a really clear image of everything that she wanted, everything that she needed. And so she made this loom and she loved it. And she wasn't planning on selling it, right? She was
absolutely planning on selling it.
She just wanted. Yeah, you take over here.
I was married to a businessman at the time, and he thought like a businessman. He said, "Oh, you need to go into business." I was like, "No, I don't want to go into business. Are you kidding me?" He said, "No, you have to." And he really pushed me into it. And what was interesting was he was a consultant, and so he knew top down. I knew bottom up, and this is grassroots. And he's like, "Yeah, you need to get it in the Yellow Bean catalog." And I thought, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to listen to a thing he says. He helped me price it. We got credit card capability, and an 800 number day one. I was so excited. This allowed me to divorce him
Eventually.
in a year. I know that's a great story.
It gave you freedom.
Freedom. I didn't know that I could do it, and I got my freedom, and I did it, and it was wonderful.
And what happened was, she didn't know that anyone else would actually be interested
Sure.
in these looms. So she had, how many did you have me? Had me 20 or something?
That was fun. I had 20 16-inch looms made. The first, that was what we settled on as our first loom. I called up Earth Guild, whom I had been buying stuff from for years, and I'd seen them at shows, and I said, look, I just designed this loom. Can I send it to you? You're going to be at Convergence, which is this big weaving thing that happens every 2 years. I was on the way with my family to move back to New Hampshire from Wisconsin, leaving the business there. And I said, look, I'll pay shipping both ways if they don't sell. And so they said yes. So we sent them 20 looms. My family drove cross country. I get to New Hampshire. I plug in my phone. Remember plug-in phones? Remember those? And 800 numbers. And my 800 number was connected to this phone. I plug it in. It rings. I pick it up. And someone says, I'd like to buy one of the Mirrix looms. And I said, where are you calling from? Well, we're at Convergence. I said, why didn't you buy them there? They said, they ran out. It was day 3. That's how we
I get teary-eyed every time I hear this story.
And I said, yes, I guess I'm meant to do this.
Oh, that is so wonderful.
That was the beginning.
That is a wonderful beginning. Let me just stop you for a second. How did you come up with the name Mirrix?
I invented it. It's a combination of some Greek and Italian verbs. It means to mirror, to wonder. Okay. It really isn't. I took the idea of Kleenex and stuck it with Mirai, and it's a catchy name, right?
It is a catchy name.
Except a lot of people think it's Matrix.
Yeah.
A lot of people say Matrix Loom.
Oh, interesting. I've never heard that. Okay. Well, Mirrix Looms was born. And that was 1996?
Yeah. We probably started in 1995, but we moved. That day of that phone call was 1996, July of 1996. That's the day I feel we actually began.
Wow.
We had been working on it for 6 months. So maybe it was 1996. We had been working on it for 6 months.
Yeah.
We launched.
So how did the man who helped you build the first 20 feel when you told him you needed to place another order?
Oh, well, we were in business together already. We had decided to be in business together. We had incorporated already. I mean, we were good to go here. Okay. So
yeah, you were
very excited. I eventually bought him out. He wanted to do other things. But yeah, we were very excited. Nobody thought this would happen.
That's the best way to start.
So Mirrix literally, began in a barn. We have our starting story, just like Apple and Microsoft. and in 2021, I guess we finally moved into our very own manufacturing facility. We had been housed at somewhere else where we had our manufacturing facility inside it, but now we have our own place, our own employees. So in all of these
And what year was that?
I spelled
2021. It was
how's it put?
Oh,
it services people with disabilities and gives them jobs and blah blah. And it was a wonderful experience. It just we outgrew it. We needed more. I mean, we needed more of a connection between our employees and us. It needed to change. So in the middle of the pandemic, we moved.
Yeah, and I had a 4-month-old at the time.
Oh my goodness. So was it something you planned to do at that moment, or was it because of COVID, or was it?
No, I don't think we planned. Things just pointed in that direction suddenly, and we knew it had to happen at that moment, and it did. So it was the perfect timing, except for COVID. But our employees are amazing. They did the whole thing. Their families arrived. They set it all up. They did everything. It was just extraordinary.
And did you hire new staff at that time?
No, we stole people though from the other place. We stole 3 of the employees. Yeah, because they were
okay,
and they wanted to leave. It was good for everybody.
great.
They knew exactly what they were doing. We didn't have to train anybody. Good.
Yeah, because it was a lot to just start over, brand new building, new staff. So you did have some history with some of the people.
Yeah. And the manager who managed everything before came with us. So,
nice.
Sandy, she runs everything. She's amazing.
Nice. And you were still in New Hampshire, Claudia.
I am. Yeah.
And is that where the manufacturing is?
Wisconsin.
It's still in Wisconsin.
Yeah. We left it there.
You left it there. And Elena, you're on the West Coast.
Yeah, I'm in Seattle. So we're north.
Okay.
It's I feel like we were doing this remote thing before anybody else was.
Yep.
And making it work. But it's gotten so much easier with the help of technology,
Sure.
as things like, programs like Slack to communicate with your teams and video conferencing getting better. And it's definitely gotten a lot easier to run a company from different places.
It's hard to remember. I mean, think about, okay, so when we started the business, we had a website the first year. It didn't function, but we did have one. I want to tell you that, and that has evolved. And that's been one of the best things about what we did. In fact, what Lainey originally did during college, she ran the website.
Aha.
So working full time in marketing was not such a big stretch, but
right.
So we always had that.
Well, and that says a lot. So in 1996, you had a website, and I remember that was very new because my husband went to a tech school, so he was forced to build a computer before in the 90s, late 80s, and like they didn't even, like computers are barely a thing. And I remember when the internet launched. So you weren't that far after that, where there was this thing called the internet.
No, and I have been using computers since 1984. I've always been computer savvy. So it was my sister was working on websites. She said, I want to make you a website.
Amazing.
So I think if you go on the Wayback Machine, you can find it.
Yeah. That would be fun.
It's so neat to go back and look at the different iterations and also look at what a website was back then and how websites function now. You can kind of see through our website how that's changed and how, selling things online, because we didn't actually sell through the website for a while because that wasn't really.
We didn't. But I mean, what a sale consisted of. It was a phone call. It was hanging up. It was calling the credit card company, getting it approved.
Right.
Sending this information in and hoping that it goes through. It would take like half an hour.
Yeah.
To do a sale.
Right. And because I don't think there was credit card processing online then. So like you really couldn't sell online and approve a credit card transaction. When you first started.
Eventually you could do it off the website, but you had to have this encryption program and it was almost impossible. But yeah, everything took like 10 times longer then.
Yeah.
I don't know how we did it.
Amazing. Well, you did it. You did it and you embraced it. And it sounds like you just kind of rolled along with it as things were needed. You just did it. And you didn't think anything of it and you never told yourself you couldn't, so you just did it.
Right. And then we had Elena who said, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
When Lainey came along working for us full time, she tripled the size of the company. She was amazing. But I had also been a state rep for 6 years. And it wasn't really great for sales because I was away all the time and sitting in my seat trying to work. But so when Lainey came along, I retired from politics and Mirix just soared after that.
Wow. Amazing.
She did marketing, which I never really did. So Mirix doesn't do much advertising, but we do really heavy on the marketing programs that she keeps coming up with. And people have fun with us. We have fun with people. We love it.
It was an interesting, I think the timing worked out really well. I was very young and this kind of different demographic than the people who at the time were our main demographic. And it sort of allowed me to look at things with a totally different eye and be nimble. And social media was kind of just becoming a thing. So yeah, it was good timing, I think, for us to get into that stuff really early. And not long after, I think our demographic is changing and it's widening, and younger people are getting more into weaving, the past 8-10 years.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's been interesting.
I do think it's wonderful to have a family dynamic where you came out of college at the right time when your mom was ready.
Yeah.
And your mom, it seems, really embraced what you brought to the table versus trying to help you fit into what she thought things should be. That doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't micromanage at all. In fact, almost to a fault. But I think my employees manage me more than I manage my employee. And Lainey, of course, is an employee. She's a co-owner. But she also, in the middle of all of this, went to graduate school to get a degree in digital marketing. So that was very helpful. That was amazing.
Yeah, she is fantastic at that. I am, in terms of personality, a much more controlling personality type than she is. But we really just happen to work really well together.
That's great.
I don't necessarily know that. I mean, you work with your son some, so you don't necessarily know if a personal relationship works in the business world. But we just sort of really balance each other out, and the things I'm bad at, she's good at, and the things she's good at, I'm bad at. And so we kind of let each other do our thing.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it really just works out. And I think one of the things that Mirix has as a small company is that we can be really nimble. And part of the reason we can do this is that we don't spend, we trust each other, and we don't spend a whole lot of time, in meetings discussing, whether or not we can do this or she can do that or I can do this. It's like, okay, I want to do this. This is my territory. I'm going to do this.
That's wonderful.
This is my decision. And that's worked out really well for us.
Yeah. It's not a corporate environment. I mean, when you've got a lot of people to answer to and promises you've made to other entities, nothing can move that fast.
Yeah, we don't have shareholders that we are beholden to.
Right.
We can.
It's interesting. My husband works at a big tech company, and just the amount of time they spend in meetings.
Yeah.
To get anything done, writing docs, and it's still hard for me to understand, because we can be like, hey, let's invent this loom, and then we do it, and
we're
wonderful.
We're nimble. One of the things that we do is we come up with ideas all the time, and then we trash them all the time too. When something doesn't work out, we let it go really fast and move on to something else. And that's, again, being nimble. We don't have to have a bunch of meetings. It's like, no, this is junk. Never mind. Bad idea.
That's been a big lesson for us, is that sometimes you have an idea that you think is wonderful and it just doesn't work. And you can say, you know what? We're not going to do this. It's not working. Let's quit while we're ahead. And it's a hard thing to do sometimes. But it's just like, it's just like when you're weaving a piece and you put so much time into it and it's not working out for some reason, that ability to be like, I'm just going to cut this off the loom.
I do half the time I do that, and people just can't believe it. I mean, I try to save the materials, but I can't stand having a piece around that I don't like. It stresses me out more than anything. And so I'll stress about it, and then I'll just take the scissor and go, you're gone.
And then you breathe easier and you start over.
We do that with products. A product takes, what do you say, Lena, about a year to develop?
I mean, it depends on the product.
But way longer than we ever think. I mean, kit's not as long, but a loom or something, it just takes forever and ever. So when you do have to let it go, it is a little depressing.
But you also, like, I think, and I don't mean to genderize this, but I feel there's less ego involved when I think women have less ego.
Oh, that's absolutely true.
And so that allows you to really just let it go.
Gosh, that is so true.
And I don't mean anything, because my husband's wonderful and he does not have a big ego. So he's also very flexible. But I think working with a lot of men, I can just say that safely.
Absolutely right. I won't give examples, but
No.
we all know.
Really, it's really nice working. I mean, so we are a mostly female team at Mirix. And I do think there's a different dynamic with that. And it's nice, we've found a lot of weaving related companies are male owned, which is interesting because currently there tend to be more, the demographic for weaving tends to be female. So it's nice. It's, I think we represent our demographic.
Yeah, and that's happening because it has changed. I mean, we have companies now, big, Rebecca Mezov is a big time teacher, online teacher, amazing. We have Just Yarn, which is run by women. So we are getting female companies finally. It used to be the females owned the stores and the men owned the manufacturing, and it's switching though. It really is. One
thing that this has nothing to do with anything, but it made me think about this is we will, being women, I mean, maybe it's just that we're a small company too, but we buy things like aluminum to make into our beams, and copper and steel and stuff like this. And when, some big aluminum companies, gets a call from some lady who's like, we're making some looms and we need this much aluminum. And, and they immediately think like we need like go to the hardware store, honey. It's like, no,
we need to order, a ton. And I said, but I need 3 tons. Is that okay? No, if you're a female, breaking into the metals world it has been painful at times.
Yeah, I bet.
Very painful. I think they're sort of starting to get used to the fact that there are women who are in manufacturing, but 27 years is a lot of change, a long time.
I mean, you've seen quite an evolution.
Yes.
In all areas.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, digitally, electronically, personally, humanity.
In the tapestry world, when Claudia started weaving tapestry, it was when you were pregnant with me, right?
Yep.
There wasn't much instruction out there.
It was. There were like two, in fact, I was thinking of this yesterday when I was thinking of talking to you. I was talking about that, how little there was out there. But it's a double-edged sword because I remember there's a magazine, it was called Fiber Arts. It's not the older version of Fiber Arts. And they would do once every couple of years this compendium of art, of crafts. High-end, incredible crafts. And I remember getting that book out of the library, and I remember sitting on my bed for 8 hours, just soaking it up because we had so little. Whatever you got was so amazing. And I think we spent more time with it. Like now you go on the internet, go wham, 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 right? Go through images really quickly. But then I just appreciate everything. There are very few instructional books. I feel like I invented tapestry, and then I found out I didn't. And so it would take me a year to figure something out that could have taken me 5 minutes.
So you wonder how much you learn over the course of doing that, figuring stuff out on your own rather than.
I think probably it was a better thing. I've never taken a course in it in my life. I think it's probably a better thing. It's very ingrained in me. So and there were a couple of magazines. There just was so little.
Yeah, there was so little, and every piece of it was so important, and you had to have it. And I remember going to Barnes and Noble the minute I knew that a new magazine was supposed to be on newsstand, and we craved it. And then the internet definitely changed that, and I I'm concerned, and I don't mean to project my concerns on you, but I'm concerned about the content that's out there and the accuracy of it, and the fact that people who are newer to any of what we create, they don't really care if it's right or wrong. They're like, I'm just going to do this. And that concerns me.
Yes, we're very, very concerned about that. What do you think, Lady?
It's an interesting balance because, I obviously grew up around tapestry weaving and looms, and my big joke has always been I've kind of learned by osmosis. But I always, especially when I first started at Mirrix, I had to walk very delicately. I didn't want to say the wrong thing or refer to something in the wrong way because people got very upset if you were not doing things exactly by the book. And this was just a couple of years ago. I did a local morning TV show where I showed some weaving and I talked to the host, and it was a very kind of cutesy little thing. But the title of the segment was something about Elena teaches looming or something like that.
It was looming.
The only response we got from people was like, how could you have title? It's not looming. It's people are like really angry, and I'm like, I didn't come up with this title. Some producer came up with the title.
Maybe an intern even.
The world of tapestry for many, many years was very by the book and tightly held, and it was kind of hard for people to break into it. And I think there's been some good in opening that up a little bit, and there being some more flexibility in what is tapestry. But there's a delicate balance there, and yeah, it is frustrating when there are people who are showing people how to do things that are I don't want to say right and wrong, but is not going to help them learn how to do that.
Though we had the 60s when people were making things that weren't tapestry and calling them tapestry, entanglements in earth tones. You know what I'm talking, right? They're in every office building. In their waiting room, you had one of these entanglements. And then the American tapestry lines came along and they decided to define tapestry again for what it really is and own it again. This is not tapestry, guys. So tapestry is this very specific thing, discontinuous wefts. The warp doesn't show, it's pictorial. So the warps are like a canvas. Yeah, so there's a fine line between wanting to understand the techniques and doing them correctly, and then there are people who just want to jump in and weave. They are not necessarily weaving tapestry. They are probably weaving weft-faced weavings, because tapestry is a very specifically defined art form, and it can only be that. And I think that's where us old-timers get frustrated, because it's like calling something oil painting that's watercolor. There are different kinds of weaving, and tapestry is one kind. So we have people who do all sorts of weaving. In fact, we had the Noreen doing the dolls, Leni.
Yeah, I think, and I don't think we talked about this. So Claudia was a tapestry weaver, the serious definition of a tapestry weaver. She met somebody who owned a bead store. Maybe you are better to explain this, but and they realized together that the Mirrix loom could be an amazing bead loom. And this was pretty early on, but that kind of started a whole different side of the business. And at the time, tapestry, I think, was much less popular than bead weaving was.
Much less.
And now I think it's switched. I think
weaving in general, fiber weaving is overcoming any kind of bead weaving. Bead weaving never really grew. The actual weaving on a loom with beads is something that never took off that much. We've tried to promote it as doing beaded tapestries, which is an incorrect term, but doing pictorial things in beads, not just bracelets. But one thing I want to mention, one of the big changes that happened, how many years ago, Lane? 15, Craftsy?
Oh, sure.
We were the first 10.
Well, so for anyone that doesn't know, Craftsy, which I think now exists in a
No, it does exist.
device, they were originally sold, but it was based out of Denver, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it was maybe the first kind of online company to say, we are going to find artists and crafters, and we're going to bring them to our studios, and we're going to make these really, really detailed tutorial videos,
like with big cameras, like big TV cameras. It was,
and they really, they did a fantastic job. So I think one of the first big things that I did was I managed to get us on Craftsy by being super obnoxious.
Is that how you did it?
Yeah, I just kept writing to them. And finally they were like, fine.
Somebody please help me. Get her quiet over there. Get her on camera. Let's get this over with.
They don't have weaving, Lena. They still don't have weaving. They still don't have weaving as a category. But yeah, we're still on it. We filmed for 3 days to get 6 hours of class.
Yeah, you go to their studio, and it was like a real
hair and makeup,
big cameras, and a makeup person, and
sure.
It was really fun. I think it was really stressful. It was fun for me because I wasn't on camera.
Well, I said to them, I have to bring Elena, and they were willing, I think, to pay for her. They weren't willing to pay for it. And I said, no, she needs to be there. And she was so instrumental in me surviving, because she would sit in the background and signal to me what I was supposed to be doing. And in the end, they realized, and they paid for part of her. They realized it was really important that she had been there.
Yeah, that was really fun. And I think that project was a tapestry bead cuff. Well, it was a few things, but it was our tapestry bead cuff bracelet, which was a cuff bracelet that combined beads into it.
Yep, I know it well.
Using the shedding device. And what was really fun about that project, and it's still a super popular project, is that because the beads space your project, you can really experiment with tapestry and not worry about your selvages pulling in, which is a big problem when people first start doing tapestry. So it's a really fun project to kind of launch people into tapestry, and it's a little bit easier to do, and it's not as scary, I think.
And yeah, there are lots of ways to correct errors in it by sewing beads. You got a whole sew bead over it. But that also introduced my hand. I'm going to do a little plug. I paint silk. It's one of my favorite things to do in this world. And I literally take a skein of silk, I put it in a tray, and I paint it. And that is our kit for the tapestry bead. That's where the silk originally got used. That's where I originally launched it. So now we have, I don't know, 100 colors. I mean, it's crazy. Check it out, guys. So
yes. Well, and let's get to that, because you have, without it even being shameless promotion, how many looms do you have now? I'm always amazed at the options and kits and colors. And
I'll say the looms and you count.
Okay,
we have the saffron, the 2 Chloes.
That counts as
the Lorelei. We have the Laney. We have the little guy. We have the big sister. We have the Zach. We have the McKinley. We have
wait. We have the Deb.
The Deb, which is a big 60. Yeah. We have the McKinley. We have the Joni and the Zeus and the Lily, which is named after Lane's daughter and is our 48-inch wide loom.
I lost track of counting because we also have the tall 16 and the tall 12.
Right. We lost track.
I'm up to like 14, I think.
Done.
Well, and that doesn't include, or does it include, because you have options, even within looms, you have different widths.
Just the Chloe loom, I think.
Okay.
Is the only one with the different widths.
Okay. All right. So maybe 14, maybe more looms.
Line of looms.
Because we don't do counting around here. It's okay.
Learn that. fingers. And once I got to 10,
Well, you don't have any more than 10 fingers. Yeah.
Okay, but then you also have kits.
We do kits all the time.
And for many companies, I'm just going to start off by saying kits are a 4-letter word. I worked at Fire Mountain for a very long time.
Oh, did you?
I did. And that's how I first learned about Mirrix Looms. Kits was a 4-letter word. And Chris never wanted to do anything with kits because it's nearly impossible to always have every piece of the kit in stock at the same time. Anytime I brought up a kit, I'm like, I can make a kit for that. She's like, what did I tell you? No, no kits. No kits for you.
I would call up the yarn company and say, look, we're probably going to have to make 400 kits. This is how much yarn we're going to need. You have to promise me you can get it. I know it's coming from Sweden. Promise me, promise me, promise me. Yes, yes, yes. And then they run out.
Yeah. Yep.
In the middle of it. We're in the middle of a big weave along and everybody's weaving and they run out.
The number of times we've had to be like, okay, but now we're switching this color out for this color. yeah, it's hard. But I think kits are really, really important to our company because the thing about tapestry specific, and bead weaving too, but the thing about tapestry is that it seems scary sometimes to people when they see, especially because so many tapestry weavers make such amazing pieces. And I think you look at that and you're like, I can't do that. That looks too hard. And so offering a place where we have a community and where we give people step-by-step instructions, and we do things like weave alongs. Like I think we were some of the very first people to do weave alongs. We've been doing it since the very beginning, where you walk people through, and you also have this social aspect. And this is where like our Facebook group has been absolutely amazing.
It's like our support group. Like if we're in a bad mood, we go there and just lift us up. So nice.
It's become this place where people can go and say, I'm working on this project and I don't know how this works, or we're doing this weave along, and people can go and talk to each other and talk to us, and it's really become kind of this community base.
Yeah, people are very nice. There's we don't even have to say it. People are just nice, and they make sure everybody else is nice. So it's just a very safe, wonderful place to talk about tapestry.
That's wonderful. And it is hard in this day and age, especially on social media, to know that a place you're going to visit and spend time is safe, because inevitably there's some bad characters, as somebody else used to say.
Every once in a while, someone will say
bad actors.
Company on our Facebook page, and Lainey and I don't have to say a thing because everybody's like, you can't talk about them that way.
Mm-hmm. And that's the way it should be. I mean, that's a community. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It very much is. Lately, we've been getting a lot of spam on our Facebook. The spammers have gotten very good at getting in.
Mm-hmm.
They have like membership questions on Facebook, and they will answer.
Oh, really? They're getting good at that now?
Oh.
The big thing is people, they have these like shirts that say like, I'm a weaver, or some like I don't even think they're actual real shirts, but they're kind of like an AI created, and like buy it, and like once a day we get a post like that selling these shirts. Anyway,
wow,
that is not relevant, but yeah, kits are really important for the community aspect and also for the teaching aspect, and also I think just for inspiration.
Sure.
I think it's we have people who have probably participated in every single weave along.
Well, why don't you explain what a weave along? We have two things. We have weave alongs and we have flying start
tutorials, which are a newer thing. I mean, a weave along. So our first weave along was a million years ago.
What was it?
It was the tapestry beak of bracelet, actually. It was before Craftsy.
Before Craftsy. Oh wow. Okay.
And the idea of our weave alongs, because this was the time. Really, I mean, I guess webinars were kind of a thing, but it was not a time of live video. So the idea,
people couldn't stream it. I mean, if the internet couldn't support anything live, I mean, it's just impossible. Nobody had the speed or the connections.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
So the idea was that everybody buys the same kit and signs up for an email
And
list.
you have to buy the kit though.
Well, yeah, they didn't at the time. I think now we usually require
Oh, we
people
do.
to buy kits, but at the time I don't think we did. And then we would separate the project into 4 weeks. So week 1 would be warping, week 2 would be beginning to weave, week 3 would be finishing the weaving, and week 4 would be finishing. And we'd send out an email we used to do it on Saturdays or Sundays, I think, which we moved it to Mondays because it would totally take up my weekend.
Yeah.
Weekend.
You're
Always.
growing a family and trying to have a life outside of work.
Yeah. And then everybody would work on that part of the project during that week. And the fun part was then you could either email us or you could go on social media and you could say, oh, look, I'm done warping, or, this is what I got done this week, or I don't understand how to do this. And we'd kind of be present looking for these posts to respond and kind of make it this community event. And we've done, how many weave-alongs have we had? We had a lot of weave-alongs.
28? I don't know if you go to,
Yeah.
you go to the website. Yeah.
But they're still popular. They're still popular today. And we've changed. We do the Flying Star tutorials, which are basically, a weave-along in a box where there's not really so much of the social aspect. It's just kind of the tutorial all at once. And I don't think people like those as much.
But the other thing about them is that they're much simpler. The instructions, are the weave-alongs can be pages and pages, because you also have access to this for forever. But they're pages and pages. And the hard part for me was I'm not the world's greatest photographer. That is an understatement. And now I have a really good phone camera, but I would take a picture and then I'd take another, I'd send them away, and she'd say, they're all fuzzy, do it again. And so me trying to figure out how to do this has been years in the making. And I've finally arrived, okay? I finally have arrived, finally.
This is one of those.
Why? But she's a great photographer.
I'm not a great photographer, but.
Oh, we were just bragging about you the other day. You were a great photographer.
I think you're thinking of my husband's photography. Anyway.
But that's okay. When you're as bad as I am, okay?
The bar is pretty low.
That's a good thing that we balance each other about.
Yeah.
That, she's way better at the creating projects part, but
she does all the graphic design. I don't do
help figure out.
And we're both really good writers, and we edit each other's work. I mean, both of us, that's what I went to school for. So, and she's incredible. She did too. So, so that's been great because we can write all this stuff and it's easy. Well, it's not easy, but it's not torturous. Yeah.
And that's funny. I read something, Seth Godin, do you know him?
Mm-hmm.
His article, his email today was about writing, professional writing. And everybody will have a little bit of a different takeaway, but they're like, the person who's trying to tell you that the store is closed, and has to do it in 100 words, or, something simple, and you get the wrong people to write the shortest things or the longest things, it just isn't good. It's not professional. So it's an important skill.
It's really, and when I was majoring in English, like, why are you majoring in English? It turns out it's a really good thing to major in. I mean, I wanted to be a writer, okay, but it's a very important skill.
It's so important. And not everybody really can do it. And I don't think that a lot of people acknowledge that it's not easy. But if you have skill, it comes out easy. Yeah. Easily.
We've been practicing and practicing it for decades. And so it does feel easy now.
Sure.
Surprisingly easy, although not with the instructions. Instructions are not fun to write. Blog posts are fun to write. Everything else is fun to write. Instructions have to be perfect, and we edit them and edit them. And, are you sure that's left? Are you sure that's right? Green. That was supposed to be. It can get crazy.
Yeah.
That's hard. And we're at the last minute, and Lady's like, "No, there's something get it done."
Wrap it up.
Better timing than she.
Deadlines are so important.
She has her creative like.
I'm a space.
Where have you been for 8 hours? Well, I was weaving.
But Mom, I needed this yesterday.
Seriously. The number of times she was weaving. I found the other day, so back when we used to do some physical marketing, we had postcards printed that we sent to people, which we really don't do stuff like that.
They don't.
Everything's kind of on
that way. Nobody reads them.
But I mean, I think this was probably you, not me, but like we had some great, hilarious copy on this postcard. I wonder if I could find it. It was like a back to school postcard. It was pretending that the big sister loom was going back to school or something. It was really cute. So we've had a lot of fun with stuff.
That's great.
And April Fool's Day. We've had a lot of fun with April Fool's Day. And we've pissed people off, We invented a fully electronic loom and people wanted to buy it.
You're like, no, that's not real. But like, make it real, please, make it real.
We didn't do that this year, did we?
Oh.
We missed it this year. This is like the first year we've missed it, about 10 years.
Well,
I had a 3-week-old at the time.
Yeah. So I had other things going on at the time, and I don't know. I feel this year's a little bit off on humor, so maybe it was a good year to skip. Humor's fallen a little flat this year. People
don't know if it's real or not.
Right. Oh, that was funny? No, it wasn't funny. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, that is really great. So kits, lots of kits, lots of support for your customers. And I thank you for that, because I'm all about education, and I'm a big advocate for doing it as accurately as possible. Of course, not everything's perfect, but it's so important. And, back to my earlier point, I feel with the advancements in the internet and everybody thinking that they are the expert in sharing the information, it does perpetuate some inaccuracies, which is challenging.
The other day, a few months ago, whatever, I decided I wanted to learn how to embroider silk on paper. Why? I don't know, but because I think I wanted to develop kits for my daughter's children, the shoelace thing that you do with cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to do a better version of that. And so I went on the internet, I went on YouTube, which I normally don't do actually, but I said, I need to see how this is done. And 3 people I found. And all 3 of them said, I've never done this before, but let me see if I can do it in front of you. If we do this, it'll work.
3 hours later, you're like, I've learned nothing, and I could have taught them at least something.
2 guys, so they were decent, but nobody knew how to do it, but they were teaching me.
Oh.
This channel, and they want people to come, so they throw this stuff out. So there actually is nobody on the internet until I do it to teach how to do this, because I know how to do it now.
Another opening for you.
Yeah.
Claudia's going on adventure on YouTube now to teach silk embroidery.
That's one thing that I really love about our company, is that we didn't just decide like, oh, you can make money selling looms.
Right.
We are actually, it came from a real place. Mm-hmm. It came from someone who was a weaver who wanted a product and came up with that product. And for that reason, I think we can support our customers in a way that companies who don't can't. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably been a big factor in our growth and in our loyalty. I mean, we have such loyal customers. A couple of years ago, I had a call with someone from Shopify, I think. So someone from like our website site host, and we were talking about whether or not we wanted to go on to the next plan or something. But he was looking at our numbers, and he was like, do you realize that your return customer rate is just like off the charts? Wow. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I don't know if you really understand. Like, you have such loyal customers. Part of it is, not only for sales, but for coming back to our website. And it was, a lot of websites that are stores, they don't have information. They don't have content above and beyond that. Or if they do, it's kind of superficial. Whereas like we really do have useful stuff on our website. Our website is not just a store. In fact, it's probably more the other stuff than that.
Yeah, you almost need to. I wonder what the percentage of that is. It would be a good exercise. If you have 20 SKUs, do you have 80 pieces of content to support? Like that would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah.
And what did you just say? I missed what you just said.
Just wondering like what the percentage of product to content is.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Well, and I just recently I spoke at the NAMTA conference, and the topic that I hit was content is still king. Like as much as people really don't want to admit it or deal with it or manage it, it's really still so valuable and so important, and it shouldn't be scary. You just have to approach it from the right perspective and right direction, because it's so important.
Yeah,
if you want to have that retention.
And I think so much content has become these small little bits of a little TikTok or a little Instagram video, and I still think it's really important to have real in-depth long form content.
Yep.
Especially when you're dealing with stuff like what we're dealing with.
Yep.
And you can simplify, and kind of back to what we were talking about before, you can simplify tapestry, you can simplify weaving. One of the things I love about our looms is that, a total beginner can sit down with a loom and they can weave something. It scales to whatever level you are. But I still think it's really important to be able to go in detail about exactly how to do A or B or C. Even if you are never going to do those things, I think it's really important that we are able to have that information out there.
And one of the things with the weave along, which is kind of cool, I think we would sell them. We'd always do one around Christmas time, and we would sell it as give this away as a gift, because the weave along starts in February, and so it became a huge gift, and it was very cool. So you give the loom and the class, and it started in February.
That is such a great gift, especially when somebody could benefit from a hands-on tactile experience.
Everybody could benefit from a hands-on tactile.
Oh my gosh. Well, do you have anything you want to add about that? Because I do feel it's important for people to really comprehend the value of creating something, even if it's not something you finish. Because how many of us have a work in progress that's still in a bag over there? How many bags do I have over there?
I can address that because, I just look at my evolution. I started off learning tapestry, then I was selling it, and that became important to me. And now I won't sell it anymore. It's weird. I just did an exhibit and everything was not for sale because they feel like my children these days, and I don't want to give them away. I think about tapestries I've made. You remember every tapestry you've ever made, by the way. You never forget them. And I think about some that I've made and sold, and I'd like to see them again. Okay.
Although you give away.
I love giving them away. That's a whole different thing. I give stuff away so now I make to give away because my house is only so big, But I'm an obsessive maker of things. It's gotten worse as I've gotten older.
This is an understatement.
It's an understatement. Lady's like, you cannot bring beads in my car ever again. I am obsessive because they're everywhere. Needles everywhere.
I found a needle in my car the other day, and you haven't been here in months. And I know it was from you.
My husband had a needle stuck in his arm once because it was in the bed, but that's another story. Okay, so it's flow. I do it for flow, and I think anybody who creates knows what that is. That feeling of, it was 8:00 in the morning, and now it's 8:00 at night, and I don't know where the day went because I've been weaving and in another place altogether. It's never lasted that long. I think flow never goes for more than a few hours, but it's the most amazing feeling in the world. It is just, it's living in the moment. And so for me, the final product, and this is why I'm able to cut things off all the time. The final product is not important. What's important is everything that gets me there.
Mhm.
And the final product is sometimes really sad because, so that being said, I always have 5 projects going on at the same time, all the time. So.
It's been interesting. My daughter is going to be 4 next month, and she loves art. You know, she loves creating stuff, and it's really interesting watching a kid create, because it is all process art. You know, it's all about being in that moment and drawing and creating, and this is my first time. You know, I haven't really been around kids much until I had ones of my own, and just watching her take a pen or a marker and just sit there and concentrate and draw and do whatever she's doing and just get into that place. It reminds me how important it is for all of us to get into that place where you're not thinking about the final product necessarily. You're just in that creative space, and it's such a special in the moment. And I think Claudia said that, in the moment place that we don't get to.
No, we don't.
Very many other ways. You know, there are a couple, you know, like galloping on a horse, or, you know, there are a couple other places.
Another one, yes. We grew up together on horses. That was where we started. We each had a horse. So we would ride all the time. And we talk and ride and gallop through the woods. Galloping through the woods is equal to flow.
Yeah, similar.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I do think it's so important. I wholeheartedly agree. The benefits from making far outweigh the finished product, which is why I think so many knitters, I'll raise my hand, have projects that they've started and not finished, because like the finishing part is not really the zen. It's not the.
No, you can just 1% done.
Yeah.
1% to do, and it's in that basket over there.
Yep, I've got a basket right over there.
I was thinking about this. So after I had my last baby, I was in like a baby group called PEPS. I don't know if it's outside of Seattle, but it's this wonderful group where you basically are kind of put together with other parents who have had a baby within, you know, a few weeks or a few months of you, and you meet once a week and you talk about, you know, like, this is week 2, help, you know, what are we doing? And there's this wonderful support group. But my group this time around, we talked a lot about self-care, and about finding things that you can do even when you have a newborn, to kind of just focus on yourself. And art was kind of the main thing that everybody was drawn to. You know, even people who are like, I've never drawn before in my life, but I found myself sketching because I just need that time in a time where, you know, you never have any time to yourself. So yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that.
That's sort of, I think, new. And then another thing I wanted to address, this having multiple things that we do, multiple mediums. I find that people in the fiber arts have multiple mediums. They never just weave tapestry. Like, I crochet, I knit, I make baskets. I mean, there's nothing I won't do if it includes a thing of thread. And that's common. I mean, see, you know, some of the best tapestry weavers are also the best knitters, and they give Lainey sweaters for her children too.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree. I think the more people I meet, the more I realize I'm not an anomaly. I'm one of many people, because we do everything, do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it can really relate to each other because of that. I love meeting other people who indulge in fiber arts, crafts, whatever, because there's something in their brain that is very similar to whatever is in my brain, and I can totally relate to them.
But there's also something very kind of ancient, or like, I don't know if that's the right word, kind of
primal,
it connects you to your ancestors. And there's also, I mean, not to say it's just women, but there's also, I feel like, a female connection around making too.
Yep.
Very, and one of my big pet peeves is the fact that at some point oil painting was elevated to this really high status, but it didn't used to be a very high status. Tapestries were high status. Oil paintings were called the poor man's tapestry.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then oil painting took over and tapestry just slipped behind. And my goal in life is to promote fiber art. I mean, that's all I want. I want everybody to understand that this amazing stuff happens that gets ignored, and it's very upsetting.
Do you know how many people she has sat next to on airplanes who have bought looms? A lot.
I'm spreading the gospel of weaving.
I love it. Well, I don't think we have that much time, but I would love to know your come from on this. How do we help wrangle more people in?
I've been thinking about doing, like online exhibits and stuff with tapestry. I don't know. I have a friend who owns a gallery, and she's been hanging tapestries more and more. That's the direction I've been moving in. I want people to see this stuff. The tapestry that's being made these days is so extraordinary. It's mind-boggling. It's amazing. And I want people to know that. And most people don't understand what weaving even is. And it's getting lost, like people don't understand about cloth or anything.
It's also kind of a private thing, I think, to a lot of people. They're not necessarily like sitting out in a park,
right,
with their tapestry loom,
right,
or weaving on an airplane. But yeah, I wonder how you get people to talk about it more. It's interesting. I think as I've gotten older, I'm going to be 40 next year. I've found my friends talk more and more about art than when I was younger. Like it's become something that is important to a lot of my female friends, be it knitting or watercoloring or something. But yeah, more and more I find people talking about this stuff and talking about it in the sense of that it's something grounding.
Well, and I just got back from vacation, and I brought with us a couple of projects, and I ask every year I bring a project for everybody, including the children. And this year they're all older, and I didn't want to impose my beliefs and my plan on them. So I asked, I'm like, who's interested in doing this? And everybody but the 17-year-olds was interested. And all the 17-year-olds, they're like, we don't have the patience for that. So I'm like, okay, that they could identify their interest and share with me one word that helped me realize like what it is. Like to them, it was going to take too much time away from what they were doing. Now, what they did while we were on vacation, I have no idea because we never saw them. They were always off doing something or in their rooms. But those who did participate said it was so relaxing. And they're not normally people who sit down and do a project like what we did.
And so therefore they didn't need patience because patience has nothing to do with it.
That is correct. And they were willing to try something brand new.
Patient. I mean, like, yeah, well, you must be so patient that you're sitting there typing with your thumbs all day. I mean,
Yep. So I do think there's something to the evolution and age where you come to realize that, or that you're actually willing to just commune with people and sit down and actually just spend time together. Because not one person had any expectation of finishing something that they would be proud of, yet they did. Yeah. But that wasn't why they did it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting little cross section of a demographic.
It makes you think too about how much technology being kind of the antithesis of creating something, a craft and art, how you balance those two things out, and how, I am absolutely terrified of raising kids in this tech world. I have no idea what we're going to do about phones or screen time or whatever, but I really want to instill this sense in my kids that it's important to take time to create.
Yep.
And that we can get really lost in that world of scrolling. And yeah, I don't know how to
you will. It'll happen naturally. You'll figure it out.
Her kids don't get screen time. And that's
one of them's 5 months old. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but really, I mean, she makes stuff all day long.
Yeah.
It is, and Lainey's always giving her new ideas, and so it's kind of wonderful to watch.
Yep. Well, and my, let's see, he's 25 now, but he's been drawing since he's young, very young. And my husband is an artist, so he taught him his style of drawing. He created a drawing. He's has the summer job, created a drawing of the restaurant, and they actually bought the print from him.
Oh, wow.
And then he took the print and made it digital by transferring the image into Procreate and created a line drawing. They're going to make it into a coloring sheet for the restaurant. And they're going to use it for the back of a t-shirt. So I'm like, so that to me is like a great way to see how technology has helped, as well as, knowing that he also enjoyed just doing the drawing and sketching to start.
Yeah. Oh, that's so neat.
Yeah. So it is possible. It can happen.
Yeah, I think if you just in the beginning you have your kids not have screen time and teach them all these skills and these wonderful things, you're never going to forget it.
Exactly.
You're never going to forget the love of creating artwork.
We hear that a lot from our customers about, so many people have, I have stories of, how did you get into weaving? What made you interested in this? My grandmother, she had a loom or she knit and she always talked about weaving, or she, there are so many people who have these connections somewhere, whether it's their families or somebody they knew that, might have happened a million years ago, but they keep these things in their heads and they have those moments and they want to come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's kind of like this genetic thing, because weaving comes from a certain part of your brain. It comes from the part of your brain where you do math, by the way.
Wow.
So if you want to get better at math, weave. But I wonder if there's just, we have that, we're passing down these genes of having that part of our brain overdeveloped or something, I don't know.
It's okay as long as it keeps going and we help those.
I think it's getting more and more. I think people are doing this stuff more and more. They didn't do it fiber art like this 30 years ago.
Right.
This is totally new.
Yeah.
Don't you agree? I mean, it's wonderful.
It is wonderful. And that is the benefit of, I think, the internet, because you can share the information way, way, way further and faster than you could before when you were waiting for that book that took 3 years to be published. I mean,
find these communities online.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't feel isolated and, this is, am I the only person? Did I invent tapestry?
Right.
Just one scroll. So.
Well, and in our show notes, we will have information on how people can find you so that they don't feel disconnected or that they have to start from scratch, because you really clearly have really put together an amazing amount of tutorials, information, product information. It's endless. I've been on your site. I've been lost on your website.
Okay. We like lost on our website.
Yes. It's no wonder you have such great retention. And I know for my publishing hat, when I've been at Fire Mountain and when I was with Interweave, your blog posts and articles and products have always been well respected and well read. So it's no surprise to me whatsoever that your company is thriving. 28 years.
28 years.
It's a long time. Didn't Bezos say that a company will never last more than 30 years? We're going to last way more than 30 years.
You'll show him.
So, Amazon now, though. I feel like we just had this. We could talk for hours.
Yeah, we needed a part 2.
I'm always worried about timing on anything like this. This talk.
I'm sure I will think of a million things that we should have said.
All right. Well, we can always revisit. I'm in charge here, so we could always do another one.
Like being in charge. Like another thing Wendy and I like, owning an own company. We can, go on a trip, bring our computer. It's all good.
Yeah.
We can. One of the things I hate about having a job, a real job, I call it, is knowing 5 days a week I'm going to be in this place every day from this time to this time. I don't like to know what I'm going to do the next day.
She likes to take 8 hours and just get lost in her weaving.
Yep, in her weaving.
I'm able to do it. Sometimes.
Well, and you created a lifestyle where that was possible, which is truly.
She's able to have babies and
fit
it in with everything.
That's wonderful. All right. So thank you so much for joining us, Elena and Claudia. And thank you to all of you for tuning in. It's such a pleasure for me to meet people like Elena and Claudia along my creative journey. And I hope you have some takeaways. How could you not have takeaways from all that was shared today? Be sure to follow these ladies and Mirrix Looms on social and keep an eye on all they have going on and coming up. That's a wrap on another episode of Heart and Hands of a Maker. It's been so wonderful sharing this time with you. Thank you for tuning in. And if you want more, be sure to head over to tamarahonaman.com/podcast for today's show notes and links to make it easy for you to find Mirix and Elena and Claudia. And to be sure you never miss an episode, please follow Heart and Hands of Maker on your favorite podcast platform.